So I wanted to talk about which Asian languages I have tried to learn, and I've picked up the basics in them, but except for one, really, one or two. So I started out trying to learn Japanese in college, and so I had college courses in Japanese, a couple of them. I didn't get into anything advanced, but I was tutoring it very quickly for people in my class who were having problems. And anyway, I ended up getting sick and I fell behind in the class, and that's why I ended up not going on with it. They only had a couple semesters, that's all they offered. But they offered a chance to go over to Japan, but at the time, and it was a long time ago, they said, well, they didn't encourage girls to go because they said mostly they respect boys going over there to study. I wish I had bucked the system on that. But anyway, so I didn't do that. Anyway, I wonder if that was a lie because we had a lady come and talk to us, and she was, I don't know if she was a sister. I can't remember for sure because it was a Catholic college. But she might have been a sister. I can't remember, but she had been over in Japan, and so and the congregation that I tried to join. Some of you don't know. I almost became a sister or a nun. Um, the congregation I was going to join actually did go over to Japan, so they talked about that. Uh, anyway, so my connection to Japan and Japanese is pretty good. And then I began to learn some Vietnamese from a Vietnamese friend in college. I had a pretty good Vietnamese friend. We were thrown together the very first day of college, and it was kind of interesting. And and she had kind of escaped Vietnam at that when it fell at the end, and she had quite the stories to tell about that. She didn't tell them until a lot later. She wouldn't talk about it at first, but later she did. But anyway, it was interesting getting to know her. I was even invited to her wedding. She went out to California and then was getting married. I even got an invitation to her wedding, but it didn't get to go. Um, so I should have gone. So anyway, um, so then I had a little Vietnamese, which I have tried to pick up since, and I enjoy Vietnamese. I actually do fairly well with it. It's just, I don't know, I don't have a way to use it or anything. I think that I just kind of get frustrated with it. Um, and then, so the next language I picked up was Mandarin Chinese. And and so I began to teach English as a second language with a Baptist church out in Colorado. And they had a mission to the Chinese. Colorado apparently had an influx of Chinese immigrants. And so there were quite a few Asians in Colorado Springs. And so anyway, we had this church that had a mission to the Asian people. Now they've dropped it now, and they decided to reach out to Hispanics. And I'm not really sure what caused the shift, but I know that there was a little bit of difficulty with the pastor, and then there was another. I don't know if he was a pastor or a teacher or what exactly his status was, but he was Chinese himself, but he would clash with the pastor on occasion. And so I know that that was a bit of a problem. So I don't really know what happened with the group, but they disbanded, I guess. And some of those people are probably still at the church. Um, but I found that very interesting, and I began to learn some Mandarin Chinese. I wasn't doing very well with it because I just wasn't getting a lot of my questions answered on it. And my focus there was to teach English to the Chinese, but I was trying to pick it up at the same time. So in the meantime, I've gotten on different apps and different things, and I've made some progress with it. So that was my second language, or my third Asian language. My fourth Asian language has been Korean, and that I've just tried to pick up here and there. I really haven't had much usage of it, um, and I find it very difficult. Korean has been the one that's really boggled my mind, that I really have not picked up very easily. And so those are the Asian languages that I have messed with. I've looked at Cantonese just a little bit, um, nothing serious. So, and of those, I would say Japanese is the one that I prefer, but probably because I had actual instruction in it, like face-to-face instruction, and I think that makes a big difference. So, and then Chinese would be next, I think, then Vietnamese, and then poor Korean. I am trying my darndest to pick up Korean, and it is not clicking. Now I learned the alphabet, and I learned, it's like I'm sort of learning it, but I'm sort of not. It's just like the light bulb hasn't come on yet. Have you ever had that experience with learning a language? You're learning, and one day, bing, it makes sense. And so I haven't had the being moment yet. So I don't know. But if anybody has any suggestions about learning Korean, that is one thing I've had a lot of trouble with. So I appreciate any suggestions, anything like that. So those are my Asian languages. And what are my methods for learning Asian languages? Anything I can. That's basically it. On Korean, I'm trying several different apps. Now, I noticed one difference between Duolingo and Memrise. Duolingo is teaching, I think, a very formal form. Like Korean has like five, six, seven. Um, has that was five and two to make seven. um, so Korean has like seven levels of politeness, of formality, basically. And so I think that Duolingo is teaching the most formal. And then I went to Memrise and they taught the least formal. And it's quite different. And so I'm getting a whole different thing from Memrise. And then Lingodeer teaches a couple of them. And or I think three different levels, I believe, which is Lingodeer is pretty good. I really do recommend that. Um, Maybe I'll put a link in here to it. For Asian languages, I definitely recommend Lingodeer, and I think they're pretty good for Russian. Um, and I don't know. I've tried some French and different things. They've got several languages now on Lingodeer, so they're pretty good, and they're Asian based. The reason they're so good with Asian languages is they're Asian based. But I have, of all the Asian based apps, I've had a good experience with it. So I think that's about it right now. And, if people have favorite resources or anything like that, please speak up. I would love to know those, and so would other people, and share them here. Thank you.